Alright, today we're dabbling in black magic and learning how to build a impulse response of a guitar speaker cabinet. Now before I get into that, I do just have one small piece of housekeeping to get out of the way. In my last video, I provided two clips. One was an impulse response and the other one was the SM57. And I asked you guys to take a guess at which one you thought was which. Well, the big reveal is clip A was the impulse response. Alright, on to business. Impulse responses. For this craft you will need one Windows-based operating machine, one audio interface capable of recording and sending audio at the same time, one amplifier with a functional effects loop, and at least one microphone, dynamic or otherwise. So the first thing you want to do is take your microphone, which in this case is the trusty old SM57, and find yourself a sound that you like. We're going to be using the Hogner. Alrighty, so the first thing you want to do is get yourself a copy of this little program here, Voxengo Deconvolver. You don't have to buy it. The demo is going to work fine for our purposes. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is just create a folder just to manage all the files and stuff to make it easier. So that's just on my desktop there. Then you want to go into Voxengo Deconvolver. And don't worry about any of this crap yet other than the test tone generator button. Click on that. And keep all this like you see it here. 12 seconds on the duration. And click generate. And then it's going to ask you where you want to save it. So I'm going to put it in that IRs folder and save. So once you've done that, you should see that there's the file there that's been generated. Now what you want to do that you've got this tone generated is import it into your digital audio workstation. Doesn't matter which one you're using. I'm using Reaper, but I mean they all do the same thing at the end of the day. You should know how to do what I'm about to do within your own DAW if it's different to mine. So I'm just going to drag it into a session in Reaper onto a new track. Volume's not super important, so if you need to, just to avoid it clipping, you can cut it a couple of dB. For some reason, I can't actually see the waveform, but it's definitely there, so I can hear it. Anyway, essentially, all you got to do now is send this tone out to your guitar cabinet on this channel, and then on a new channel, capture the microphone. So I'll just make a new track here, and I'll call it SM57. And that's going into input 2 on my audio interface. Yep, so that's armed to record. The tone is just going to play. Now what we got to do is take a lead and run it from one of the outputs of your audio interface. And then you want to mate the other end of that cable with the effects loop return on your amplifier. And also, if you have an option for it, which you probably do, engage the effects loop. Okay, so now that you've got a cable running from one of the outputs on your interface into the effects loop return on your amplifier and have the effects loop engaged, take your amp out of standby mode, if it was in standby mode, and in your DAW, make sure that the track that you're about to record to has monitoring disabled, or have your monitors turned off so the only sound in the room is going to be the generated tone playing through the cabinet. I'm just going to hit record now and capture that sound. This is going to be loud. That's a wrap. What you're hearing there is what came out of the cabinet into the SM57. So now what we have to do is take this whole file, which is that long, and then a little bit more. This is very important. Make sure you've got some empty space on the very end of the recording, and export that as a WAV file. So I'm just going to hit render, And I'm going to put this in that folder on the desktop that I made, the IRs folder, and we're going to call it tone capture. And I'm rendering this as a WAV file and doing the time selection. So it's going to go from there to there, capturing that important little piece of space on the end. And just hit render. There we go. Nice and quick. All right, so now that we've got that done, you want to go back into Voxengo Deconvolver, and where it says test tone file, go browse and open the sweep file that we initially generated, and then under file folder, click browse and choose the tone that you just generated. Now, ensure that your bit depth is set to 24. Turn on MP transform and normalize to -0.3 dB if you haven't already, and hit process. All right, so now if I look in here, it's created a new file called tonecapture_DC. And you know what? That's it. That's the impulse response. Time to test it. All right, so what I've done is played a performance into my loop pedal and then sent the performance from the loop pedal through the Bogner amplifier. The signal's passing into the 2 notes torpedo captor. And if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen my video on that, do check it out. I'll put a thing for it over there. From the captor, I've got the 20 dB attenuated output running to the cabinet, which I'll be capturing with the SM57. And then the line output from the torpedo is heading straight into my workstation on the second track, which we can see here on the bottom. So that first track on top is the SM57, and the track underneath is the torpedo captor. Now I'll play you what the torpedo sounds like without the impulse response loaded first. And that sounds like this. Nasty. And the SM57 capture sounds like this. Cool. So now let's compare that to the impulse response that we made. Almost identical. So I'll just do some quick jumps between them so you can really hear the difference. Yeah, really close. Now, what I've also done is the exact same test through my looper pedal, but this time into my Marshall DSL-40C head. Exact same thing. So on the top, we've got an SM57 capture, and on the bottom is the line out from the torpedo captor. So SM57. Torpedo captor. 57, captor, 57, captor, 57, captor, How fucking cool is that? They're almost identical. Alrighty, I hope you found this one helpful, handy, insightful, useful, engaging, entertaining, all those good things. Now, if you haven't already, or you're new to the channel, and we'll do this again soon,